Now, let's get ready for the first broadcasting of the day in 3, 2, 1. Now, welcome back. Thank you so much. Sometimes when Ibrahim Traore starts speaking, I feel like I'm somehow emotional because sometimes he's frustrated and sometimes he feels like people are really using us and taking advantage of us. That is why in some speeches and many of the speeches he has been making, all the times he starts speaking, he would always start with appreciation anytime he is given an opportunity to speak, because he takes it as he doesn't take it for granted. He always thanks God for all he has done in the lives of his people, because his people are the priority and he loves his people so much. The reason as to why he came to power because he had the interests of people inside him. And that is why since the time he got to power on the 6th of October 2022 up to date, people have been really cheering him, and people have been happy to see him around. And also, he also apologized to the upcoming remarks he's going to make, because he is not a politician. He is a soldier, and he prefers telling everybody the truth, whether the truth hurts, whether the truth is painful, or whether the truth is easy. He prefers telling people the truth because he always says,
I am not a politician. I'm not joking. I am a soldier. And I prefer to tell you the truth. Everyone is free to take or leave.
And I really like him so much. I really love him so much because of that. Because we need truthful people. And anytime truthful people come around, that's the people we want to work with them. Because without that truthful people, we are not going to make it. We want people who say things the way they are and find solutions. He loves talking about the future of his people, as I said earlier, because he doesn't know what tomorrow holds. He came to power because of people. He came to power because he saw people suffering. He saw his people going through tough times, and he decided to come to power. And that is why we are having President Ibrahim Traore, the captain, the king of Africa, in power today, because he had to put an end. He wanted to put an end to the sufferings that his people had been going through. He wonders, most of the times in his speeches, he wonders why is it that with all this wealth that Africa has, Africa is still the poorest continent in the world. He asks that questions, and anytime he has a summit or he's speaking before leaders, he would say, this question, I've been asking this question for quite some time, but nobody's giving answers.
Comrades, I have a few questions from my generation. No one is a question we ask, but we have no answers.
Why is it that Africa, with all the wealth it has, with all the minerals it has, with all the resources it has, it is still one of the poorest continents in the world?
The questions that my generation is asking are the following. If I can sum it up, it's not understanding how Africa, with so many riches beneath our soil, with a generous nature, of water, with abundant sunshine, Africa is today the poorest continent.
Why? That question has never had an answer, but we're extracting answers day by day, and we are going to retrieve Africa from the poverty that it's in. And that shows him that we are still slaves. The fact that we have everything, but we are still the poorest continent, it shows him that we are still slaves. Therefore, he comes up with this solution: fighting. We must fight. And he has said that in many speeches. We must fight, like this one.
We are going to fight. That is certain. We may suffer, but we need a bit of patience, that's all. Because the situation has significantly deteriorated so much over several years. We must go with great force so that it cannot come back later. When we resolve it, it's once and for all, permanently. We are gathering everything necessary and essential needed to open the different and various routes that connect the states of the AES. And they are fighting to prevent these routes from opening. Because AES is a nightmare for them, it must not happen. We must not integrate in any way at all. However, we will ultimately defeat them in the end. In any case, you have waited a lot.
80% of my time, it's war. But that doesn't stop us from keeping an eye on the economic life in power. It's a promise you made to me, and I want you to keep your promise. I don't want to hear anymore. We're being attacked. We see them coming. We agree, right? You will mobilize your people to dig trenches and protect yourselves. By the time the machines arrive at your place to deepen the trenches and do it, it's you who defend the communities, the villages. If you get there, you tell them, get out. We're digging here. The enemy must not roll through here. We dig deep, we close it off, and we settle over there. Your own posts there. And at one point I had something worked out and I said, send it to you. Everyone has talked to you about it, the ministers, the BVDP, so that people build, for example, combat posts. Where the rain hasn't really started yet, make the bricks well, build the posts. I asked for images of the different posts in some villages. And I saw that some have done it with laziness as well. You can't have a post even if you've built all that down there. And there, your head is out. How are you fighting? Well, the image we sent shows there are loopholes. These are the holes through which you have to fight.
Because the slaves who cannot fight or the slaves who cannot rebel does not deserve pity. The slaves who are not yet, are not ready to fight or they are not ready to rebel, they don't deserve pity. Listen to this one.
A slave that cannot rebel does not deserve pity.
He knows and he understands very well that we shall be called terrorists, because this is what he say. When people from the Europe and people from other foreign countries, they stand up and fight for their rights and fight for their freedom and fight for their countries, fight to defend their countries, they are called heroes. But when Africans stand up and decide to fight to defend their country or for their rights or for their freedoms, they are called terrorists, they are called many other names and bad names. That is what they are called. This is because we want to be painted as terrorists because they don't want us to fight for our rights. So he has already sticked that at the back of his mind, that when we start fighting, we shall be called terrorists. And there's no problem with that. We agree to be called terrorists, we accept to be called terrorists, but at the end of the day, we know we must fight because we have already understood their strategy and their ways of making us feel discouraged. He is very disappointed with how African heads of state dance every time the imperialists pull the strings. This is one thing that Ibrahim Traore has spoken about, talking about the puppets, people who will go anywhere they are asked to go. If they are told come left, they go left. If they are told go back right, they go back right. They don't care, okay? Anytime the imperialists say this, they follow because they are greedy, they are corrupt, and all they see is their stomachs and their pockets. They don't care about the people. And therefore, he said that we must pay tribute to our people. We must pay tribute to our people. We must give thanks to our people, and we must fight for our people because our people wants to see us fighting for them. They placed us there in that position so they can be able to fight for them, not that we can be able to dip them into the problems, into the bigger problems. They cannot be able to extract themselves from it. Now, in this summit, he spoke all these things, and I want you to listen to him very carefully and very clearly to the end of it.
President Vladimir Putin, Comrade President, African Head of State, Comrade Head of Delegation. Hello. It is an honor for me this morning to speak here and to pass on the fraternal greetings from the people of the country of honest men. This is also the place for me. First of all, I want to give thanks to God Almighty, who has allowed us to gather here this morning in good health to talk about the future and the well-being of our peoples. I want to apologize to the elders I might offend with my upcoming words. African identity demands the rights of birth. I must apologize. Comrades, I have a few questions from my generation. No one is a question we ask, but we have no answers. And it turns out that here we can air our dirty laundry because we feel like family. We feel like family in the sense that Russia is also a family for Africa. It's a family because we share the same history. Russia made enormous sacrifices to free the world from World War II. The African peoples, our grandfathers, were also forcibly deported to help Europe get rid of. We share the same history in the sense that we are the forgotten peoples of the world. Whether in history books, documentaries, or films, we tend to overlook the significant role that Russia and Africa played. Right now, we are here to talk about the future of our peoples, of what will happen tomorrow, of this free world we aspire to, a world without interference in our internal affairs. We have the same perspectives, and I hope this summit will be an opportunity. So, to be able to build very good relationships for a better future for our peoples. The questions that my generation is asking are the following. If I can sum it up, it's not understanding how Africa, with so many riches beneath our soil, with a generous nature, of water, with abundant sunshine, Africa is today the poorest continent. Africa is a hungry continent. And how is it that our heads of state are traveling the world begging? Here are some questions we are asking ourselves and for which we still have no answers. We have the opportunity to weave new relationships. And I hope that these relationships can be the best to provide a better future for our people. My generation also asked me to say that because of this poverty, they are forced to cross the ocean to try to reach Europe. They are ocean. But soon, they won't go across because they will come in front of our palaces to seek their daily bread. As for Burkina Faso, today we have been facing for more than 8 years, in the form of protest, the most barbaric, the most violent form of neocolonialism, of imperialism. Slavery still seeks to impose itself on us. Our ancestors taught us one thing well. The slave who is unable to take on their revolt does not deserve anyone to pity their fate. We do not seek pity for our fate. We do not ask anyone to pity our fate. The Burkinabe people have decided to fight against the hypocrisy that hinders their development. In this struggle, brave peoples, brave populations have committed themselves to take up arms against what we have indeed called the VDP, the volunteers. We are surprised to see the imperialists label these VDP as miras and all sorts of things. It's disappointing, because in Europe, when people take up arms to defend their homeland, they are called patriots. Our grandfathers were deported to save Europe. It was not with their consent, against their will. Well, upon their return, we remember well that in Tiaroy, when they wanted to claim their basic rights, they were massacred. It doesn't matter then. When we, the people, decide to defend ourselves, we are labeled as militia. But that's not the problem. What the problem is seeing African heads of state who bring nothing to these fighting peoples, but who sings the same tune as the imperialists, by calling us militia, by treating us as such, of men who do not respect human rights. What human rights are we talking about? We are outraged by this, and it's shameful. We, as African heads of state, need to stop behaving like puppets that dance every time the imperialists pull the strings. Yesterday, President Vladimir Putin announced the shipment of grains to Africa. We are very happy. We thank him for that. But also, it's a message sent to our African heads of state. Because at the next forum, we won't have to come here without having ensured. For those who are not familiar with the war, the food self-sufficiency of our peoples, we need to learn from the experiences of those who have already achieved this in Africa, to build good relationships here, and to forge better ties with the Russian Federation in order to meet the needs of our populations. I won't take too long. The time is limited and very short. We are forced to stop at some point, but I would like to conclude by saying that we must pay tribute to our peoples who are... Glory to our peoples, dignity to our peoples, victory to our peoples. The homeland or death will conquer us. Thank you, comrades.
I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to you, Jean-Pierre, for your invaluable support and assistance. Your help has been truly appreciated, and I am sincerely thankful for everything you have done. I would like to draw your attention to the issue of Russia regarding Nazism.
The issue of Russia regarding Nazism. In the interests of the whole world to free people, of Nazism, the struggle against apartheid and colonialism is not fought solely in the interests of Africa. This struggle leads to results that improve situations all around the world. It's the whole world that benefits from it. In this sense, I agree with Mr. Touré. It reminds us of what happened during the Soviet era. The struggle that the Soviet Union and Russia brought is part of the struggle of all peoples for freedom